Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from AnxiousFemme12 who says, my husband's childhood best friend asked me for a favor, then humiliated me in front of her family. I'm done being the bigger person. I've been sitting on this for a few days, trying to decide if I'm just being dramatic or if I've been letting too much slide for too long. So I, 30 female, have been happily married for a few years now. My husband, 31 male, is honestly a gem. Kind, patient, hilarious, loyal. Basically everything you'd want. Which, after having an ex cheat on me with his best friend, is kind of a big deal. That relationship wrecked me for a while, but I worked hard not to drag the wreckage into something new. And thankfully my husband's never given me a single reason to question him. Until now. Maybe. I don't know. My husband and I have a great relationship and we're pretty social and often hang out with each other's friends. I get along with almost all of his group, and they've honestly made me feel welcome. Except for her. His childhood best friend, let's call her C. C has always been cold to me. Not outright rude, just subtle enough to make me feel crazy for noticing. You know, that kind of vibe. Every time we've been in the same room, she's managed to talk around me, not to me. I tried. I really did. I've smiled, made conversation, been nothing but warm, even when she's given me nothing to work with. She doesn't show up to group hangouts, but she'll invite him over, and he always tells me, to his credit. He never goes without mentioning it, and he's never weird or secretive about her, but it still rubs me the wrong way. I've tried being friendly. I've tried small talk. Hell, I invited her to our birthdays, barbecues, engagement dinner. She bailed on all. She skipped our wedding too, and she only ever seems to reach out to him, usually when she's just been dumped and needs to talk. When I've brought it up, my husband says I'm overthinking it. That C is just a little odd socially. Maybe she is. Then a few weeks ago, out of nowhere, she messaged me. She asked if I'd model for her project. Totally unexpected, and I was caught off guard enough to say yes. Part of me thought, maybe this is her trying to connect. Maybe this was her olive branch. I even felt a little hopeful. God, I was naive. So I agreed. My husband offered to come with me since he hadn't seen her in a while and thought it'd be fun to catch up after. When we got there, her family was also involved, and from the second I walked in, it was like stepping into some passive-aggressive Twilight Zone. Her mum and sister kept calling my husband our son-in-law. I laugh, awkwardly, think I must have misheard. It only got worse. During the shoot came more of the snarky comments, jokes about the one that got away, and some bonds never fade. Her mum at one point literally said, we always thought C would end up with him. But life has its detours, I guess. C always imagined walking down the aisle with him. And then, it's sweet of her to fill in though. Oh come on, I wish I was exaggerating. And C just kept snapping pictures, smiling, saying nothing. No, hey cut it out, no awkward laugh, no redirect, nothing. My husband, clearly uncomfortable. I watched him fidget through the whole thing, clear his throat a few times. He tried to change the subject or came nearby me during the shooting. He didn't say much either, just kinda went quiet. I stuck it out for an hour, let her take her photos, smiled, posed, whatever. But the whole time I felt like I was part of a social experiment and everyone else was in on the joke but me. When we got in the car, he was silent for a while. Then he finally said, sorry about it all. That was weird, right? And honestly, I didn't even know what to say. Because yeah, it was weird. It was borderline disrespectful, and the fact that he was there, saw all of it, clearly felt it too, and didn't step in or pull the plug. It makes me feel kind of alone in this. I'm just tired. Tired of pretending this woman is harmless or just awkward. She knows exactly what she's doing. I don't want to start a huge fight, but I'm at the point where I don't want her in our lives. Not as a friend, not as a ghost in the corner of our marriage. No more bending over backwards to be the cool wife. I'm not interested in earning points with someone who clearly doesn't want me around. Anyway, thanks for letting me scream into the void for a minute. I really needed to get this out. Edit. Sorry guys, English is not my first language or even second language. Sometimes it's harder to get my points or feelings across. Just to clarify a few things people were asking about C. C is actually a photography major, and this shoot was part of a final project. I'm not a professional model or anything, but I've done some hobby modeling here and there. So when she asked if I'd help out, I thought it was a casual favor. Why at her house? She comes from a wealthy family and has a fully set up studio in their house, which is why the shoot happened there instead of at a regular studio. I honestly thought it'd be just her and the camera, not a full audience with drinks and commentary. Additional background. I grew up in a pretty emotionally abusive household, so I think I've gotten too used to passive aggressive comments and just sort of freeze up. Maybe that's why I didn't react more in the moment. But yeah, it definitely hit harder after the fact. We'll update you as soon as possible. Thank you for all your comments. Absolutely, if your relationship is to survive this person needs to be out of it completely. They ambushed you, the entire family, and treated you like crap while you was there. And as we often see in this situation, your husband's behavior, the passive response to this, is also concerning. And it sounds like up to this point, her behavior has always been excused as a that's just how she is kind of thing, socially awkward. And you're not being dramatic, your instincts have been correct all along. I mean, the signs were all there that she's avoiding group settings and only contacting him when, she's vulnerable. She skipped your wedding and then orchestrating all this, it's just awful. But the first commenter said to OP, borderline disrespectful. I hate to see what you think is actually disrespectful. Another commenter says, you should be telling your husband it's not weird, it's par for the course. This is just the next step in the very apparent pattern of behavior from C that he's allowed to let happen, over and over. Every time he left, whether to spend time with her out of the home or over the phone, to spend time with her, she tallied that as a victory. Now it's a matter of pushing the line. How much will he allow at your expense? How easy will he forgive with a short, insincere apology if he finally says something? She's playing a long game and trying to plant ideas. That's even better when someone else can plant the ideas too. Enter her family. This is not new. This is not weird. This is her normal behavior towards you. Maybe his rose-colored glasses are slipping. Another commenter says, girl, if there was ever a legitimate reason to start a fight, it is this. That was a bizarre power move, and your husband being a doormat allows them to humiliate you made her think she won. You need to have a heart-to-heart with your husband because it seems like they were together at some point and your husband is not being honest with you. He also needs to learn to stand up for his wife, for fuck's sake. Another commenter says, if you want to give him the benefit of the doubt that his eyes have been opened about his old friend's feelings about him and you, that's one thing. His take on it now and his response will tell you what kind of a husband he really is. Ignoring or justifying her behavior would be red flags at this point. And the final comment says, time for a spine check. I'm guessing it's pretty wobbly if it's there. Opie adds some comments and says, I think I was so used to brushing off this kind of behavior that I didn't even realize how deeply disrespected I was. I grew up in an emotionally abusive household where snide comments and passive aggression were just part of the background noise. So when someone pulls that kind of crap now, I think part of me automatically minimizes it like, oh, I've heard worse. But reading all your reactions kind of snapped me out of that. And yeah, it hurts that my husband didn't shut it down. I've been trying to rationalize it in my head, like maybe he didn't want to escalate things because it felt like a trap, or that he's not used to being in these kind of situations. None of that excuses it though, not even a little. I'm going to talk to him tomorrow, really talk, not brush it off, not laugh it away, just lay it all out, because at this point I need to know where he stands. Thanks for the reality check. I needed it more than I realized. Another one says, I get why it sounds off. I probably would have side-eyed the whole thing too if I wasn't living it in real time. So no, I'm not a professional model. She just needed someone for a thesis project, and I've done a little hobby modeling here and there, so I figured it was casual enough to help out. I guess she didn't want to go through the trouble of hiring someone last minute. As for the location, C comes from money, like money. They'd converted part of the house into kind of a makeshift studio for her to work in, with lighting, backdrops, the whole deal. So that's where we did it, which I didn't think was too weird. Until I got there and a whole family was hanging around like it was dinner theater, drinking wine, making snide comments, just watching. It was honestly awkward as hell. I definitely wasn't expecting that. I thought it'd just be her and a camera, not a whole audience and running commentary. Hope you respond to someone else saying fair enough. I get that parts of it might come off as a little stiff or off. This is actually my first time writing anything like this on Reddit, and English is my third language, so I use ChatGPT to clean up the grammar. I guess that polished it more than I realized, which might be why it reads kind of scripted in places, but the story itself, totally real. I wish I had made it up because being there felt like some kind of fever dream I wasn't invited to participate in. Someone questions OP if she has a job or is financially tied to her husband. OP says yes, I work as a performance marketing manager and we actually rent at the moment. So OP comes in with an update and says, first they give a little recap which we'll skip over because we've just done that, and says, first off, holy crap, I did not expect that post to blow up like it did. Thank you to everyone who commented, messaged, or just made me feel like I wasn't losing my mind. So many of you asked for an update, and here it is. For those wondering, no, they never dated. He had a high school crush on her over a decade ago. That's ancient history. No, I don't think he's ever cheated, emotionally or physically. He's always been very open and honest. We have each other's passwords. They barely see each other anymore in person, maybe once every few months. We live about 2 hours away. Okay, so here's the update. Funny enough, I didn't even get the chance to sit down and talk to my husband before something else happened. I just can't believe my life at the moment. Anyway, I was still trying to process what happened and sort through my anger towards C, and honestly towards my husband too. That's when I got a message from my sister-in-law. I call her M. I'm really close with M. She's also part of the wider social circle that C floats around in. They're friendly but not close. She sent me a screen recording from C's close friend's story with a simple, "What the fuck?" It was a clip of me posing during the shoot. No music, but in the background you can clearly hear C's sister say, C should have been the one to marry him. I lost it. I waited until my husband got home from work, sat him down and showed him the video. He watched it once, then again. His whole face changed. He finally looked pissed. I could not help but think, why didn't he have the same reaction there? So I laid it all out. I told him everything, every snide comment, every time C made me feel small. I would always try to be civil. I never asked him to choose between us, but I was done being polite while someone consistently disrespected me. I told him, if this doesn't bother you enough to act, we've got a bigger problem. I'm not going to be in a marriage where I have to beg to be defended. I need a partner who stands up for me, and if that's not you, then I need to rethink this. He didn't argue, didn't get defensive, and I know he feels sorry. Then I showed him the Reddit post. He tried to read every comment. Some of them made him tear up. When he finished, he looked at me and said that he feels like the worst husband. He let this happen right in front of him. He is so sorry and asked me, "What do you need from me now?" I told him straight up, this isn't just about her anymore. It's about whether or not you're willing to protect this marriage. But I'm not going to feel like I'm second place in my own relationship. So it's either me or her. So we called C. She picked up all cheerful, acting like nothing had happened. We brought up the video. She immediately got defensive. "Oh, come on, it was just a joke. Are you really mad over that? Seriously?" And that's when he stepped in. This isn't just about the video. It's the constant disrespect towards my wife. I didn't say anything before because I didn't want to lose your friendship, and I convinced myself you didn't mean it. But what happened at that shoot? That was disgusting. My wife came to support you, and you and your family treated her like a joke. I didn't speak up then, and I'm ashamed of that, but that ends now. I don't even know why I held on to this friendship for so long. If you can't respect my wife, you don't respect me. She laughed, literally laughed. Wow, you're really cutting me off over that girl. Oh my god, I was ready to fight, but husband calmed me down, said to C, If choosing between you and my wife ever felt like a hard decision, I wouldn't deserve her. We're not kids anymore. You need to grow up. I simply do not want to be your friend anymore. I have nothing else to say. Telling you, he can be a gem sometimes. But yeah, we blocked her and her entire family. Since then, he's been checking in with me. Not trying to fix things, just showing up, listening, understanding. He finally sees what I've been dealing with. We've still got some healing to do, but now I know where he stands, and that changes everything for me. To everyone who commented last time, thank you, seriously. You helped me feel like I wasn't crazy, and maybe even more importantly, you helped him finally see it too. And the top 2 comments on this one said, the first one said, it was the fact she genuinely thought that there was any choice between you and her. And update us, cause I guarantee you this won't be the last you hear from her. And another commenter says, this is what apologizing looks like. Address your shortcomings, ask what to do to fix it, and act with intent to remedy the situation at hand in order to mend the one at risk. It sucks a guy sometimes has to get slapped across the face with something that is so obvious, but it's how he responded that was redeeming. And there was a lot of people suspecting that it's not going to be the last they're hearing of her, but at the same time glad that the husband did eventually step up. Some people saying they might not be able to forgive that even then, but what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from Incident Correct 3352, and it says, am I the arsehole for refusing to wear a wig in my brother's wedding? I, 23 female, have decided not to wear a wig in my brother's wedding. When he proposed, I was thrilled. I cheered them on from my dorm room. But this wedding has stressed everyone out, and for me, it's come to a breaking point. At the first bridal event, the bride handed out experience packages for her bridesmaids up to $3,000, including a destination trip. I'm a recent college grad with an entry-level salary. We discussed hairstyles. The bridal party agreed on updos, given the humidity. Months later, the bride texts me that she changed the style and wants me to wear a wig. I'd recently done a big chop and dyed my natural hair, a major milestone for me. I asked if braids were okay. She said no, followed by texts about uniformity. I asked her to send the wig details. She didn't for months. After a bridal shower, she asked if I'd bought a wig, told me the stylist cost, and when I didn't respond fast enough, she still signed a contract with the stylist. I tried to compromise. I'd install the wig myself and have the stylist style it. She said no, the stylist wouldn't work behind anyone else's install. I said I was uncomfortable with both the price and process. She replied, because you cut and dyed your hair, there are now extra costs for uniformity. Okay. In therapy, I shared how often I felt like the family scapegoat. My boundaries equal defiance. My therapist said, when people get used to you performing, they raise the bar every time. My gut said, I'm not wearing the wig. I explained this to my parents. My mum called me selfish. My dad said, you were a child, you couldn't say no. Then added, if the bride doesn't get what she wants, you're out of the wedding party. I texted the bride. She respected my decision, but I could support from the crowd. I responded, what stings is being told I can only stay if I change everything about how I show up. That's not unity, that's control. I love you but won't disappear. She forwarded it to my family. She's been very controlling. Others have clashed with her and a maid of honor dropped out. My brother says she talks negatively about our family. When I brought that up, my dad shouted that no one's on my side and blamed my mental health. I was told I shouldn't attend the wedding at all. My brother said he didn't care if I was in the wedding party, which lifted some guilt. I told him I'll still show up as myself. The bride finally sent a message saying I was condescending. My choice was last minute. She's the center of this new chapter. The Bible says the wife comes first, and I kicked myself out. I responded with the truth. I'd expressed my discomfort early on. My words weren't cruel, they were clarifying. I shared scripture. Respect goes both ways. I respect their marriage, but I respect myself more. She sent it to my brother. He texted me, I love you, but she comes first. If you can't fall in line, you're out. No more discussion. Am I the arsehole for refusing to wear a wig and standing in my truth? Edit. I should note that once my brother said he didn't care if I was in the party, I agreed and said I would sit in the audience and support him. This is my only brother and sibling, so of course I want to be in his wedding. Mendel says, "You're not out of line for not wearing a wig and not being a bridesmaid, but I do feel you're making a big deal out of it. It sounds like they were okay with you not being a bridesmaid. Your brother supported you. But it also sounds like you didn't do this in a quiet, polite way. It feels like you were making this about you and stirring up bad feelings about the bride. That's not okay, especially as your brother seems supportive." Hope you're responding. I understand your statement, but I had to leave a lot out. My whole intermediate family, brother included, lashed out on me multiple times for not complying and called out my character. I've been polite and also firm. I like the bride. I really haven't had any issue with her up until this point. However, if someone is going to be joining my life and it's not my decision, I'm going to have a say on how they treat me. That one with the face says not the arsehole. Bridesmaids aren't your personal ornaments to your wedding. They should be there because they're important people in your life and not because they are the best decoration for your photos. It's no surprise that the bridesmaids are dropping. Personally, I would not agree to a wig at all, so the fact that you've already tried to compromise on this is above and beyond what I think should be expected anyway. So within the same post, OP adds their update and says, "Hi everyone. First I want to thank you all for your comments, insights and support. This has been such a wild and isolating experience and it's helped more than you know. I'm currently in a different state from my family, but will be returning tomorrow. I got my hair done yesterday. A sew-in at a salon I have history with. It was a last-minute appointment, so the color turned out a bit louder than I expected, but it's cute and professionally styled. Recently the bride mentioned that colored hair was acceptable as long as it was in a ponytail. So I did just that. It fits me and I was glad that I invested in the style, along with photos of my hair. I sent a message to my family and the bride. It was sincere and calm. I expressed that I wasn't trying to make this wedding about me, that being given an ultimatum over my own body felt frightening, and that I've never had an issue with the bride personally. But she doesn't get to control what goes on in my head, especially if she isn't open to compromises or helping financially. My brother replied, "You have eliminated your chance for recourse with how you have acted with everything. You're out. That's final." I replied, "Okay. I've been focused on taking care of my mental health and processing things in a way that's healthy for me. But when I called my mum tonight and asked about the wedding, she said the same things I've been hearing, that I'm being dramatic, trying to mess up the day, and that I'll make a big scene. She and my dad seem to be trying to stand up to me now, likely because they know how it might look if I'm not in the wedding, but it doesn't feel like it's coming from a genuineness. It feels performative." Some commenters asked if I had a relationship with the bride. I believe I tried. I even opened up to her about a painful situation from college, something deeply personal and shaming. I was hoping for understanding or at least compassion. But tonight my mum told me the bride is now uncomfortable having me at the wedding because of that vulnerability. Some people have said that my message to her when she kicked me out made it seem like I dragged this out. Maybe I did, but for me, marriage is deeply sacred. My parents have been married for almost 40 years, grandparents close to 70 years, and that legacy means something to me. I want to be married someday too, not just to have a wedding, but to build something real, lasting, and rooted in love. That's why I've given so many chances. That's why I've tried so hard to show up, even when I felt pushed aside. Because I cherish family, and I wanted to believe they cherished me too. But now, what do you guys make of this situation? How would you deal with it if it was you? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being involved, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.